Hi, everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today I'm talking about the movie The Holdovers. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So The Holdovers is Alexander Payne's latest movie. It's about a teacher and a group of students who are stuck at school over the Christmas holiday. As far as what I liked about the movie, overall, the cast is great. Paul Giamatti is always amazing, and he's as good in this as he is in anything else. He kind of plays the same character a lot, I feel like, kind of a grumpy, cantankerous kind of dude, but he plays it so well, and I love him. He's great in this. This is probably one of his best performances, and I'm sure he's going to get nominated for an Oscar for it. Dominic Sessa as Angus, the kid, he's great. This is his first movie, first thing he's ever really done. He did some plays in high school or whatever, but yeah, he's amazing, just so funny and just so get great comedic timing. And he and Paul Giamatti have great chemistry together. He's very, very good. Divine Joy Randolph as Mary, also good. I really liked her a lot. Great character, and I mean, just such a terrible, tragic thing with her son and all of that, and the whole backstory. But yeah, really, really good character, and I really liked her as well. Carrie Preston as Miss Lydia. The other kids are good as well. I don't really, I don't need to get into them. They're not in the movie that much, but yeah, they're good. They're fine. I liked him. I think the score overall was good. It was done by Mark Norton, who also did Nebraska, also an Alexander Payne movie. Soundtrack in this is great. It's got a lot of 70s music, some folk, some Christmas songs, and then yeah. Oh, well, actually, the folk song might not be from the 70s, but either way, a lot of good Christmas music. I think "Baby Please Come Home" is in there. Is it? I feel like it is. If not, it should be. Actually, it might be either way. Yeah, great movie. Really, really funny. I love the humor in this. And in particular, there's a lot of scenes that just had me laughing out loud. But when he breaks his arm, which he's kind of seeing in the trailer, it's like what the trailer ends on when he screams and you see Paul Giamatti's reaction. Just so funny. I was laughing so hard at that. I think it was just the way they set it up, the whole thing with the gym, and they show the kid and he's screaming and his arms all, twisted and everything else. And I'm just dying laughing at that scene. It was such a funny scene, but just a lot of really good, really funny scenes, really well written, great dialogue, a lot of good, just great lines where you're like, oh, that's a good line. I'm gonna have to remember that. I didn't write any down, but yeah, very good stuff. I really liked it. I really like the story overall, the story about this kid or this group of kids, but at some point early on, the other kids leave, and so it's basically just this one kid. But him being stuck there for the Christmas holiday is terrible. He wants to be with his family. His dad just died. His mom's remarried some rich guy. It's great. And Paul Giamatti too. His whole character, he's just he's a sad guy, an angry guy, but a sad guy, but a nice guy too. And they have that moment with him and the woman that he meets. So I assume is that Miss Lydia. Yeah, where it looks like, oh, she's into him. She's flirting with him. She's touching him. Okay, cool. And then her boyfriend shows up. I've had that happen to me so many times. Yeah, just a really, really great movie. The setting on this is awesome. I love the kind of it was supposed to be New England in the 70s. And also the set design is just great. Again, they did a perfect job of making everything look the way it should. And they did a good job too of doing stuff where like, I think the movie's set in 1970, but not everything is exactly from 1970. Like they got a mix of stuff. They got stuff from the 50s and 60s in there, like some older cars, or his alarm clock is like this old kind of aquamarine blue kind of alarm clock, which makes sense because most people don't buy new alarm clocks very often. I've had the same one for 20 years, I think. So I really appreciated that. And I really like that all the different, bars and restaurants they went to and everything. Like it's one thing at the school, and that's fine. They just used a real school for that and probably did some, retrofitting or whatever. But yeah, just it's impressive the amount of like places they went to and all that stuff. And it looks great. The costume design is also good. Everyone looks perfect for what they should for the 70s. Cars, like I said before, I liked them and I appreciate that they weren't all like 1970 or 1969 cars. They had mixed up. They had 50s cars in there, I think. And so yeah, I appreciate it. It looked more real, and I really just liked the story about this sort of like found family, this kind of group that didn't necessarily care for each other or didn't really get along or know each other that well, but ended up kind of becoming a little family, and that's always really cute and really nice, and I like that. And the movie is just it's very very sweet and cute, but also not cloying or sentimental or annoying or anything like that. And just very, very, very funny. One of the funniest movies of the year. As far as what I disliked about it, not much really. Just the opening for me, just I didn't like the way that it started because it starts with this kind of folk song. It sounds like James Taylor or something, and it's a very long opening where they're showing the scenery and the songs playing. They do it a couple times with I think the same song. And just for me, I'm just like, oh, I'm not gonna like this. I'm not gonna like this. This is gonna, and they play like the whole credits, maybe not the whole credits, but almost the entire credits, like an old school kind of thing where they even showed like the AFL-CIO logo and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, it makes sense. You're trying to do like an older movie. They used to show the credits in the beginning of movies, so I get it. That's why trailers are called trailers, by the way, because they used to come after the movie. But yeah, it was just a little much. And then weirdly enough to me, it just seemed odd that the writer's name popped up like much later than like the rest of the credits, which was just I don't know if it was a way to kind of honor the writer and to give him more credit or what the idea was there, but I don't know, just it just seemed weird to me. So when I saw that, I was just like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna like this movie. It's already starting to get bad, but no. And I will say too, I know everyone else has said that she's great, but for me, just at the very beginning with Divine Joy Randolph's performance, I didn't 100% love it. And I don't know what it was, but just her first scene, or at least the first kind of big scene with her, I remember she's like smoking a cigarette and she's, I don't know, just kind of sitting in just like an odd kind of way. And just something about the way she's kind of doing the scene just came across to me as like when like Jay Leno or whatever, Jimmy Kimmel or whoever will like do a fake movie thing where they like stick themselves in the movie and do like a little joke. It just kind of gave me that vibe for some reason. I don't know exactly why. And I do think her performance was good, but just initially when I first saw her, I was just like, I don't know if I'm buying this. And also I think it's partially because Paul Giamatti and Dominic Sessa are so good that, maybe it's just a little unfair to compare her to them, but she's a graduate from the Yale School of Drama, like Giamatti, so I expect her to be good, and she's very good, but just maybe for me at first, not quite as good as the other two main leads. And as much as I liked all the hair and the costuming, there was at least one character, one of the other kids who was a holdover. His hair just seemed a little off, a little anachronistic, a little like I don't know if that's exactly the kind of hairstyle kids had in the 70s. Maybe they did. I wasn't alive in the 70s. I can't say for certain, but it just seemed a little questionable to me there. So yeah, other than that though, I thought it was great. Director on this one, Alexander Payne. He did Election, which I forgot he did till I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Sideways, The Descendants, Downsizing, bunch of stuff. I've liked them all except maybe Downsizing. I know a lot of people were, I think, upset with Downsizing because it wasn't quite the movie that you thought it was going to be. It wasn't quite the movie that the trailers kind of told you it was going to be, and they didn't focus on the downsizing stuff, or they did at the beginning, and then it just kind of becomes this other movie like halfway through, and it's like, okay, it's kind of weird. And I actually feel like this movie, I should go back and watch the trailer, but I feel like at least most of the stuff they show in the trailer in this movie is stuff from the beginning part of the movie. And a lot of the other stuff you don't see. I might be wrong, but at least that's the way I'm telling myself it is. It was written by David Hemingson. This is his first movie that he's had made, at least. But he's mostly worked in TV, and he started on the Pete and Pete show, which I think is great because I love Pete and Pete. He also worked on the Uncle Buck TV show and some other show, a lot of TV shows actually. But first movie, great script, well written, very funny, very good. Rotten Tomatoes in this one, critics are at 96%, audience at 91%. So both loving it. Critics a little bit more, but hey, that's fine. Box office on this one, it's made $19.1 million. It's actually streaming now too. So if you do want to watch it, it's on Peacock for free as long as you have Peacock. I don't know what the budget was on this. I couldn't really find a budget for this, but I do know that Focus Features bought it after it debuted at the Toronto Film Festival for $33 million or $30 million. Yeah, $30 million. So, okay, that's cool. I don't know what the actual movie cost to make then, but distribution rights were $30 million. So, okay. Barton, the school in this, is a fictional school. They just made it up. It's supposed to be in Western Massachusetts, but it may be based on Deerfield Academy because they both were, or they say in the movie, it was founded in 1797. So it was Deerfield. And that's actually where Dominic Sessa went to school. So maybe they based it on his school. I think initially they wanted like a 15-year-old here, but then this kid was so good. They were like, okay. And he's like, I don't think I can play 15, like make him 18 instead. And I said, okay, there you go. And I think Alexander Payne didn't want him, but Paul Giamatti said, give him a chance. And I'm glad they did because he's really good in this. Paul Giamatti has a lazy eye in this, which I feel like he's played characters with lazy eyes before though. Because I'm like, I feel like I've seen him with a lazy eye before. I thought it was real, honestly. I'm like, wait, he doesn't always have a lazy eye, though. Could he? I couldn't figure it out, but it's a fake lazy eye. And apparently they would switch it out back and forth. And initially started as just a prank. He did it to prank Dominic Sessa, and they thought it was funny. They wrote it into the script. And then they would switch it back and forth between the eyes. to allegedly to give you sort of the same kind of feeling of unease that Angus has, where he's not sure which eye to look in. And I will say I've known a couple people that have an eye that's a little off, and same thing, yeah. That will, they make jokes or whatever, but like, it's this one, this is the one to look at, that kind of stuff. So yeah, very funny, very good stuff there. Apparently Dominic was pretty intimidated by Paul, but they became friends and would like hang out and watch cartoons between takes, which is pretty funny. And that song that they play in the beginning is actually Silver Joy by Damien Gerardo. Came out in 2014. So I'm like, okay, cool. I thought it was a 70s song, but hey, all right, good job. So yeah, for this movie, as far as my score goes, I think, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. 10 out of 10. It's pretty much perfect. Honestly, there's not much I would change about it. I think in all fairness, full disclosure, I was drinking during this movie, which I usually don't do. So that might have affected my judgment a little bit more. If I watch it again sober, maybe I won't like it as much, but I just loved this movie. I thought it was so great, so funny, and so like heartwarming and sad. I probably cried 5 or 6 times during this movie, mostly toward the end there, but it's so good. It's so well made, and the actors are just perfect. And I really loved it. I think it's great. I think it's a great, holiday classic or whatever, a new holiday classic. And I think everyone should watch it. Absolutely. Go out and see it. So yeah, 10 out of 10. But if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.